why do we feel anxious about our diet or exercise program or breaking any habit? Now, when you think about the habit that you have, let's assume we're talking about eating that chocolate piece of cake at 10 o'clock at night. Or for some people, it might be smoking, not that you're a smoker. So when you think in your head, I need to stop this habit, what is the first thought that comes to your mind? Think about it for a moment. Well, for most people, what it is all the reasons why you should not continue this habit. So if you're trying to lose weight, you'll go through all the reasons of why obesity or being overweight leads to certain illnesses, and it's a documented fact. It's a physical fact. It can lead to heart disease, it can lead to high blood cholesterol, high blood pressure, even certain types of cancers, and that's very scary. So your mind says, you know what, I need to lose weight, because if I don't, I'm going to be very unhealthy, I'm going to get ill. And at the same time, you think of the emotional components, right? No one wants to feel overweight. And I don't want to go to this particular event because I don't like the way I look in that particular dress or outfit. And I feel so alone thinking about my struggles that I have with being overweight. And I don't have the approval of my friends. And oh gosh, people would love me so much more if I wasn't overweight. So we think of all those reasons of why we should not continue our particular habit. And that makes so much sense. It's very easy to draw up a cost-benefit analysis why you should not continue something and why you should continue it. But if you really think about it, you'll see that when we break a habit this way and we move to that thinking progression of all the reasons why we should not do it, what do? We create resistance. We create a thought in our head which plagues us, which says, I should not do it, I should not do it, I should not do it. In fact, I remember someone saying to me, I decided that I'm not going to eat from a smorgasbord. I'm not going to eat too much when I go to this wedding. But I found myself at the wedding being so focused on not eating it until eventually I was so exhausted. I just went to the board and ate the food that I wanted to eat. So when you think about it, breaking a habit, when you think the thought, I should not do it for all the reasons in the world, all that does is create inner conflict and emotional exhaustion. Let me explain why. If you are doing a particular habit, what's happening is that you have a should thought in your head. Clearly you're doing the habit, so you're thinking, well, I need to do this habit. Now, when you really think about it deeply, you'll realize that that is the true source and power of a habit. You'll read these books on habit, and a lot of them have terrific insights. One of the most popular books on habit says that a habit is a cue, routine, and reward. So for instance, one of the examples that was given was that at 3 p.m. at work, this particular person felt like, I need to have my cookie. So what he did is, instead of going to the cookie jar at 3 o'clock, he went and he socialized with some friends, and he realized that the cue was at 3 o'clock when he was tired at work, but the routine of having the cookie could be changed. And the reward was still the same because he was able to have that break from work. Now that's all true. And I always say there's a lot of external reasons for why we think, feel, and act a certain way. But what I like to do is understand the source of our behaviors. What is that thinking progression which takes you to that cookie jar at 3 p.m.? What is that thinking progression which takes you to that cigarette in the freezing cold? No matter what the obstacles are, I'm going to have that cigarette. I'm going to have that drink. I'm going to have that person who I know is so unhealthy in my life. What I realized after a lot of research is that there's a thought, an underlying thought, which holds us to that habit. And that's a should thought, an ought thought, a must thought, or what we call, I think that I believe that I need this particular habit. And it's so simple when you hear it, but you don't see it discussed in most places. So what's happening is that you're focusing on the behavior and the habit, and you're saying, I need that cigarette, I need that snack late at night. But you're not quite aware that underlying your thinking is this should thought. Now, what happens when you break a habit by thinking of all the reasons why you should not be doing it? You simply create inner conflict. So you have the should thought, I must do this habit, and you have the I must not do this habit, which just results in Emotional exhaustion. You feel the inner conflict and you feel stuck. You feel a tug of war until eventually, you know what, you're so exhausted, you actually reach out for that cookie to give you some energy to deal with your inner conflict. Isn't that a wonderful insight in emotional eating? Let's be aware of that tug of war. So the question is, if you don't break a habit by thinking of all the reasons why you should not be doing it, then how do you actually break a habit?